Now, us real estate agents love to talk about buying. We love to talk about selling. We love to talk about renting. But we want to talk about probably the most important factor of all, which is resilience. Stay tuned on how to make money with resilience.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes. Myself, Michael BURGIO, Mark Novak, episode 479. Action on the road this morning.
With a clapper.
Clapper. Resilience. I think that's probably one of the biggest words in real estate, resilience, and probably in life as well. I think that sometimes, I know from my personal experience, you think buying a property, I don't know, you think it's good. You probably think it's better than it is because there's so much build up to buying it and so much thought to buying it. And then when you've bought, you're sort of like, what do I do? Should I do this? And then you sometimes overthink it. And we see it a lot with clients. They think they're smarter than the market. And then they're like, I'm going to sell and buy up in Queensland. So often they've saved like 8 years, 10 years to buy a property, and then they're doing something a bit quirky or selling and doing something else. But resilience, doing nothing is sometimes the hardest thing, and just letting it be time in the market rather than the timing of buying in the market. So I think this is I think people get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, look, guys and girls, you're probably looking at been around in real estate a long time. Michael's probably one of the most resilient people I have ever met. You're pretty resilient in lots of ways, one of your things is your neck pain. You've gone through a lot of surgeries, and you go through 16 hours of a day every day carrying that resilience. But resilience. The thing I love about resilience is just a question: is it trainable, or is it a way of life? Is it a thought? Is it trainable? Is it in your genes?
I think a lot of it's okay. The biggest, it's like if you've ever watched a fight, let's say UFC fight or any, and then it gets to the stage where they're both beating each other up, and one can able to continue and the other one can't. And it's not from the skill. It's called like heart. You can't train that in that moment. And resilience, it's sort of similar. It's I think you may be able to train a little bit of it, but most of it you can't. I think the biggest comparison is heart. In like any sport, when you run the marathon and you're buggered, you pass like your second wind, you're on to maybe your fifth wind in the race, and it's just your drive and desire to go. Resilience, I know for me, going through pain, and same as other people, and a lot of it can't be trained. I don't believe.
Because I know both my daughters have gone through the same school, and probably the thing that I hear most through their school, girls' school, is resilience. It's a big thing in their curriculum, their day-to-day attitudes and stuff like that. But I think, and of course this is tied back to property, but it is definitely tied back to bloody a lot of other things. The thing I like about resilience is you don't have to be smart.
No.
And I feel genetically sometimes people are blessed with degrees of smartness towards things, and you think, you know what, even if I tried, I could never paint that picture. The thing I like about resilience, the thing that I like about which also, when we were talking off air before, we tied to it toughness and stamina. The thing that I like about it is I think if you're passionate enough, and I think if the cause is worthwhile enough, I think there's beautiful things in resilience, toughness, and stamina. I think in marriages, I think in training and exercise, in relationships with your kids, friendships, that sort of resilience and toughness and stamina to sort of sail through the bad times, so you can get through to the good times that are on the other side of the hill are bloody important. Now, tying this back, Burge, to property, and tying this back to the people that are out there, resilience in property, just that sheer fact of actually just holding that property, not selling, not trading, not flicking, with the cost of stamp duties and with the cost of agents' fees, I think it's probably one of the biggest gifts you can apply to property.
Yeah, and I was just thinking in my head, just that analogy of taking what we're talking about, resilience, and then putting it in property. It'd almost be like, let's say there was a person at school, let's say they used to pick on you, and a lot of people, if they were getting picked on, they may change schools, could hurt themselves. They do a lot of other stuff that's harmful for them, but there's not many people who would just sort of ignore it, plow through, still smile, maybe even, and then you convert that to property, because when you've bought a property, it's non-stop. The market's going to burst. The market's going to burst. Oh, it's hit its highest. It's like there is so much negativity that you will hear once you've bought. Like when you're trying to save and buy, you're putting that stuff out. You're so zoned in of that's what my goal is, and you ignore a lot of other stuff. But once you've bought, it's almost like the floodgates come in, and you're constantly hearing, can the market go any higher? And then the way you could have been bullied at school is then how you just hear everything negative about the property market. So just like at school, plowing through, head down, you've got to do the same in property. Just head down, ignore all the talk, because it's always going to be there. I think I had the penny drop for me in real estate was when I saw an article in 1987 which said something about it was along the lines of the market's going to burst or first home buyers are priced out. It was literally like the same headline and article I read the day before, and I was like, fuck, this shit's they're just cycling through. They're just going to keep saying it because you probably think you're always unique. You probably think when you bought what you're hearing, no one else has gone through it before. You're the only one. You're the greatest sort of thing. But when you realize it's the same stuff being said in media for the last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, then you can sort of help zone it out. So head down, bum up, zone it out, and just power through.
And there is a silver lining in the cloud. There is a beauty to it. Absolutely. Like when I hear of couples that have been married for a very, very long time, you just can't help but to reflect and think, how good is this? Like for you guys, when I hear someone that's been in a property for a particularly long time, in the one family or in the family for a long time, there's just this raw and absolute beauty that goes with it. Don't know why. Maybe in its rarity, that's why it's so beautiful. But it's pretty interesting. Luke's just saying, love the floodgates, plowing the property. Plowing the property is a good one because it's like a farm. You sow the seeds, you plow, you sow the seeds, you plow, you sow. You reap, you plow, you sow, you reap, and you just keep doing that in the farm over and over and over. So resilience is very important, guys, and we don't talk about it enough.
Yeah, it's very true because it is definitely because people don't. It's almost like people would never regret buying the property they could have bought. They regret not buying it. They rarely regret holding on to a property. They regret selling it. So doing doing nothing is very, very hard. Doing nothing is very, very hard. I think that's right.
It is. that is a wrap. But guys and girls, I hope you've learned a little bit about what we see out there in our lives in the marketplace. Today was about resilience, toughness, and stamina. It's something that it's like that fighter Bird you just spoke about, that UFC fighter. There's something in that core that just keeps you pushing through, keeps you going, and there is real beauty in time with this sort of stuff, guys.
And you never get rewarded for it. Yeah, no one ever pats you on the back going, you've been very resilient. You held through COVID, you held through the GFC, you held through this. There's never any reward. So you've just got to pat yourself on the back, you know?
And with resilience, toughness, with reward, it's a private reward. You know, it's a when your property is has doubled in value, often your best buddies aren't going to pat you on the back, nor your family or friends. But it's a private award. It's a private reward. Toughness is a private reward, and stamina is a private reward. It's a good point, because they're rewards that you've just got to stop sometimes and enjoy the view or smell the coffee or whatever it is, because nobody's going to do it for you.
Very true. Alrighty, that's a wrap.
Take care, everyone. Cheers. See ya.
Thank you, everyone.